You probably have a budget for your house or your personal spending, but what do you know about carbon budgets? Instead of money, a carbon budget looks at carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that traps heat in our atmosphere. We add carbon dioxide to our atmosphere every day in all kinds of ways, and the more we add, the more we heat up. At a certain point, we will put too much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere to prevent raising the Earth's average temperature by 1.5 or 2 degrees, which is the goal set by the Paris Agreement. You can think of that as overspending, and that's where budgeting comes in. A carbon budget tells us how much carbon dioxide we can emit in order to stay below a certain level of warming. Carbon budgets come with a degree of uncertainty, factoring in the likelihood we hit targets, and even breaking down how much carbon dioxide each country can produce. So while it's a pretty straightforward concept, carbon budgeting can get complicated very quickly. Think of it like a pie. It's all the remaining carbon dioxide allowed for the planet, and Canada is responsible for about 2% of the world's emissions. So should we also get 2% of the remaining carbon? That would come at an expense of developing countries, which typically produce far less carbon. So in that sense, do we divide it by population, which would shrink our slice down so much we'd likely burn through it within a few years? A United Nations panel on climate change found we have about 500 gigatons of CO2 until we hit our cap, and a 50% chance to limit warming to 1.5 degrees. And that's the number all countries will have to work towards, whether they have a carbon budget or not. Canada, for instance, doesn't have one. Instead, we use emission targets that include certain reductions in different time frames in order to reach net zero by 2050. But some scientists are pushing for that to change. Click the link for more.